I didn't get everything that was required. So some of it was. Did you guys ever read The Crucible? What is it about? The Crucible. Oh, dang, is it Boston? Was that Boston? Salem, Massachusetts. Close enough. It's Boston. It was you guys. Well, what's the? Is it going? Yep. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, let me do this one. Your microphone. Is it going here? Give me a second, guys. So, the Crucible, right? The Salem witch trials. Remember that? The Salem witch trials? It was a real story, and Hollywood made its own version of it, and the novel might not be based on exactly, but it was based on a true, right? It's a real thing. That was trial by water. Someone's accused of being a witch. Major sin, right? Kaba'ir of the, so yeah, it's like shirk, They take you, they throw you in the water. If you drown, what does that mean? You're innocent. How convenient. Why? Why? Because water is pure. The water accepted you. You're innocent. Oh, poor guy. Like what? And then if you float, what does that mean? The water rejected you. You're evil. You're wrong. Guess what they do? They grab you and burn you. And bro, like you can't win. And you're accused of something. So you weren't innocent until proven guilty. King Louis IX is the only king in European history that's also a saint. Why? Because he was smart. That's what I would do if I was ever a king or if I ever had that much power. You know what he did? He would bring up in his courtroom or in his courtroom. What is it called? Anyway. Where the king sits. He brought like leaders from like philosophers, scholars, theologians, etc. from around the world. He can do that, including Muslims. And the Muslim world is like the rivals, Christendom, Islam. He'd bring them and he'd listen to them. Like, what do you guys do here? What do you guys do about this? What do you guys do? What are your solutions? And you try to take from that. Smart. That's what you do. That's what you should do. No one has all the answers. He heard that the Muslims have the idea that you're innocent to proven guilty. So the scholar or theologian, whoever was in front of him, said that's part of our deen. We heard it from Al Khattab, who told us the Prophet said it. He's written it in his journal. So this is not like a conspiracy or anything. And you can Google it. It's facts. King Louis IX brought to Europe, brought to France. He made it part of the legal system in France. They're innocent until proven guilty. You have to have a jury. You have to have a judge. You have to bring evidence. If someone accuses you, it doesn't mean anything until you have evidence for it. Like it seems so simple, but that changed. And then from France, they went to Spain and Portugal, whatever, and went to the UK. Went to the rest of the world. Pretty cool. Who knew that before? Nice. That was my goal, to say something that you guys didn't know. Alhamdulillah. Cool. You're innocent until proven guilty. Islam brought that to the world. And the idea of bringing warring tribes together and bringing about unity. Like it's not just one God, like just abstract theology, but also it should establish peace and justice in our times. So yeah, so the impact of the Quran is about tawheed and social justice. When you have the correct belief and you have social justice or a legal system, or Prophet also united the Arabs and the tribes in his time. They had never been united in their history. He brought Arabia together and then he died and the rest is history. But he brought these tribes together and they before that never had any unified government or any authority. Apologies, I know I'm repeating myself, but okay. From there, you can have peace, stability, security. And then what does that allow? What does that allow for? So there's warring tribes. Think of Arabia as an example, but it's a global phenomenon. It's a historical thing. It's a human thing. But Arabia is just one example. We believe that the prophets were sent at the right time, the right place, for the right reasons. But Arabia is a bunch of warring tribes. No science, no technology, no law, no order. It's chaos. He brought them together. There's one God. You're all different tribes. We're all human beings. He bring you together. There's truth, etc. He establishes law and order. You're innocent until proven guilty. And obviously, there's a lot more details that we left out. He does all this. He dies, right? There's some basic peace and stability. Naturally, for human beings, what does that allow you to do? Tough one? It's okay if you don't have like the right answer. Just try. What comes to mind? You have peace and stability versus you don't. Syria today versus America today. Let's say this is an example. What's the difference? Huh? Advance what? 100%. That's exactly what I had in my notes. Awesome. Don't be confident. Be courageous. Come on, you got it. That's exactly what I had. That's exactly what I have. This is what I have. I have Quran. The first part was about the miracle. I have a number of points. I have Quran's impact, and then Tawheed, social justice, arrow, peace, stability, security, arrow, civilization, and innovation. What did you say? Technological innovation. You got it. Civilization and innovation. How can you have people like actually spending years to try to come up with the next best app? How can you have people spending years trying to come up with like a solution to a problem when like there's like war and violence and anyone can take your stuff at any time and there's no courtrooms and think about it. It's natural. It's logical. So civilization and innovation. Okay, examples. Optics. Maybe it's outside of this. Maybe go into detail right now. Maybe it's a lot for one day. But I know a lot of you know this. If you don't, something to Google if you're into these topics. But Muslims were basically the front runners and the leaders and trailblazers in many different fields in the maths and sciences and etc. across the world and across history for hundreds and hundreds of years. Optics is part of it, right? So that's physics, medicine, and a lot of other areas. Algebra and trigonometry. So your favorite classes in school. Those are started by Muslims. I know many of you know this, but some of you might not know this, right? Right? L, like in Spanish, you have EL or LA for the. In Arabic, it's L. Right? So algebra, It's al-jabr. It's Arabic. So algebra and trigonometry. And algebra and trigonometry, some of you even Muslims, you guys didn't know. I thought all the Muslims know this. Algebra, al-jabr. Al-Khwarizmi is the Muslim mathematician. He's Persian ethnically, and so he's Muslim, and he came up with algebra and trigonometry, or he's the father of, and that leads to the algorithm, and that leads to, how's that relevant to our times? Algorithm, algebra, trigonometry, algorithms. How's that relevant to our times? Cell phones, exactly. So the Quran, the message of the Quran, its miracle, its miraculous nature, its impact, 1400 years ago and forever, is 110% relevant in 2023. It'll be relevant 1,000 years from now too. Because although like the algorithm and the phone and the computer and so on, we might have a completely different system. I don't know. I'm not a tech guy. I don't know what 100 years from now, if we're going to still build on it or it's going to be a whole different thing, another revolution in science. Possible. But how about one God created all of humanity? How about social justice? How about peace, stability, security? How about innocent until proven guilty? These things aren't going anywhere, hopefully. They should not go anywhere. So the Quran impacted the world. What do y'all think? Beautiful? Questions, comments, concerns? That's all I had for you guys. Not enough. You guys are like, what? You guys are hungry? Hungry for more knowledge, yeah? That's all I had. That was my notes. Anyone want to bring up a discussion or debate? Spilled way too much. What, yeah? Anyone has an interesting like discussion point or debate point or a question? Bismillah. It could be on anything. Not that I know everything, but if I don't know, I don't know.
I think it's important to point out that the Prophet
So,
was also illiterate.
100%. The Prophet was illiterate. This definitely wasn't his words.
Yeah, so
100%. And everyone in society knows he's illiterate. He's 40. He's like in a town of a few thousand people. Everyone knows everyone. By the time you're 40, everyone knows you. They know that he was. There's few people that could read and write. He was not among them, and he was not among the poets. And you can't just like start. Like imagine you started playing basketball at 40. You get into the NBA. It's like impossible. It's like that. It's not possible. And he didn't enter the NBA. He played basketball in a way that everyone else was like, what sport is that? Like, I always say the analogy broke down, but it's impossible. In addition to that, we have thousands of quotes from the Prophet ﷺ, hadiths, thousands. It's a completely different language in the Quran. If you look at them, it's Arabic, but it's completely different style. They did studies on this. They said like 80% of the words are different. Okay, the same person is going to speak with two different languages in the same language and then switch back up. Like, what is it? It's impossible. So yeah, the Quran is definitely Allah's word, and it impacted the globe. Questions, comments, concerns? I noticed a number of you weren't praying with us, and there's different reasons, but some of you aren't Muslim. Is that correct? Raise your hand if you're not Muslim. If you're comfortable, I mean, you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but raise your hand if you're not Muslim. So what made you decide to come to a Muslim event, like an iftar and so on? Why'd you come? Close friends are Muslim. Are they cool people? Are they good? They're all right. We're normal. We're just like everyone else, I guess. Anyone else? Why are you guys here? If you aren't Muslim, why are you here? You're Muslim? No. Why are you here? We love having you, but don't get me wrong. Like you're always welcome. But I'm just curious, why'd you come? That's what's up. That's fine. For you guys have any questions or comments? What do you think of the presentation? That's good. You're free to like disagree. You're free to. It could be a debate, discussion, dialogue, debate. I'm open to all of them. What do you think of this whole Islam thing? It's pretty cool. Not for you. I think it's for everybody. But guys, he's talking. He's talking. Beautiful. What's your name, sir? Omo. Supposed to be Joel. Something. If I had to say this, Islam is not an ethnicity, race, or nationality. Although a lot of us Muslims sometimes act like it is. We act like in group, out group. It's like my tribe, your tribe, my mosque, your mosque. Human beings do that. It's natural. But it's not an ethnicity. It's not a race. It's not a nationality. It don't matter what part of the world you're from, or where you grew up, or where you live, and it don't matter who your parents are, and it doesn't matter like your social economic status. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. It don't matter if you have degrees from Harvard or Brandeis or so on. It doesn't matter if you have no degrees. If you're a poor, uneducated, illiterate farmer in Nebraska, Africa, Latin America, Middle East, Asia, India, it don't matter. Or if you're the head of Islamic studies at Oxford, Cambridge, Yale, Columbia, head of neurophysics, head of Astrology, Islam is for you. It's the faith and the lifestyle that the Creator chose for humanity. So if you're a human being, it's for you. The animals, plants, solar systems, everyone else, everything else that isn't human, they already submit. They're already in tune with God's will. They're already doing everything right. They do what they're supposed to do. Their life cycle is already the way that God wants it to be. For us, God gave us a choice. We have free will as human beings, and some people are doing all right, and some people are hurting everyone around them. But yeah, to the best of our abilities, we want to submit our will to God and live a life that's meaningful to God. That's what Islam is about. Islam is submitting your will to God. It's the faith and the lifestyle that the Creator chose for humanity. So it don't matter if you're white, brown, or black. It doesn't matter if you're gay or straight. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. It doesn't matter anything. Islam is for you. I really believe that. And yeah. Other questions, comments, concerns? Oh, still going? I thought we were done. I'm here. I'm chilling. Oh, the statement was cool. Alhamdulillah. I actually came up with Islam is the faith and the lifestyle of the great. I like those word for word. I came up with it, and I like and I've used it a lot. But I've thought about it like every word, and I'm gonna use it probably the rest of my life. I purposely chose those and so I appreciate it. Hashtag lifestyle on Instagram. Lifestyle is like a big hashtag, so I use that because like I'm trying to translate deen into English, right? Deen, religion is a bad translation, and also religion has a negative connotation. So faith and lifestyle. So it's like a belief system, but it's also impact the way you move, talk, walk, act, etc. What else, guys? Questions, comments, concerns, debate points, discussions? Yo, Trump is in jail. What do you guys think? 10% of those who went out to vote from the Muslim community in 2016 voted for Trump. He can't go to Tarawih. Yeah, go ahead. Can I real quick? I'm gonna embarrass you, whatever it is. What's the word? This is my second time speaking at Brandeis. Hamza has hosted me both times and done a great job of introducing me with too big of an introduction and taking good care of me and everything. But I was the first one to connect me to Brandeis a couple of years ago during COVID. And it's thanks to her that I've ever been to Boston and ever been to Brandeis and so on. So I appreciate you, Aya, big time. It's been some of my favorite speaking engagements, alhamdulillah. Go ahead.
So it like sounds like to me that faith is like an active choice instead of
100%.
something that's not like
It's not genetic.
logically proven. Like it can be
Oh,
logically proven, right? So like an atheist can be logically proven through that faith that Islam is true.
100%.
But like even if they fully believe that, it's like they have to make the decision
Yeah.
to take that leap.
You still have to take a step. A leap, yes. يؤمنون بالغيب. They believe in the unseen. We don't see God. So in a sense, you have to, there's some faith, but it's not blind faith. Like it's logical to have faith that something created the universe because where else? No. And if you guys remember the last time I was here, about a year ago or so, the talk was about God's existence. So I think the evidence is solid, but yes, it takes some faith. Yeah, I agree. Or it does take faith. It's both.
It's a bit of a turn, but
no, it's okay.
You know how there's like a concept in Islam of how the person you're gonna die to is like already predetermined.
The place you're gonna die?
The person who you're going to die as.
Okay.
How does that apply with free will?
So it's one of the classic questions all throughout philosophy, which is all throughout history, from the Greeks and the Romans. Is a great question. So if God already will, Muslims believe it's one of our core beliefs actually that God already knows the past, present, future, everything, including where we're going to end up, heaven and hell. And I know it's not politically correct in 2023. We absolutely believe. I can't speak on behalf of others, but I absolutely believe in heaven and hell. If you drop bombs on a country and you send people back to Stone Age, maybe you're trying to go to hell. I don't know. Maybe you want to go to hell. I don't know what your goal is. It sounds like that was when you set our vision, mission, goals, and you open up your journal and make your planner. Some people are trying to get to hell. So God created hell for a reason. I have no issues believing that God created hell. God created heaven for a reason. I've met people that have spent decades helping people with their real issues. Like I was saying, in some of these rough areas, in some of these rough neighborhoods, people have sacrificed their lifetime, energy, mental capacity, everything, mental health, family, to help other people. So I believe in heaven and hell 100%. But in terms of free will, imagine you're a professor at Brandeis and you've had 10 students for an entire year, organic chemistry 1 and 2, programming 1 and 2, whatever it is, calculus 1, calculus 2. You've had these 10 students for a whole year. You're the professor. By the time you're at that last final exam of second semester, spring, you know them inside. You know the students very well. You know who studies, who doesn't. You know who's understands which concepts and not. Once you design that final exam, you know like that person's getting an A, or Umar's gonna get an A, Salah's gonna get an A plus, Hamza's gonna get a C, and Abdul's gonna get an F. You're pretty sure. So you write that exam. You guys listen. You guys asked the question. You're not answering. This is the answer to the free will, guys. So the professor writes that exam, passes it out to these 10 students, sits at the desk, and while they're doing the exam, takes out a paper and says, Aya, A, Hamza was an A plus, Abdullah C minus. puts it in them. They finish, takes it back, grades it, returns it, and everyone's like, oh man, I got it. And it's like, yo guys, by the way, real quick, check this out. I pulled it out, and it's like the exact same grades. Can the person who got a C and F be like, well, that's not fair. Of course I got a C. You wrote I'm gonna get a C. Well, it's not my fault. Nah, you can't do that. You got that C, and you didn't know what the teacher is gonna write, and it didn't impact you. You chose it. It's based on how hard you studied throughout the year. It's about your effort, your impact. You can't be like, oh Lord, you decided I'm going to hellfire. It's not my fault. No, it is. If we had popped into existence in hellfire, and God's like, trust me, if you had lived and been in this life, I already know where you're going to end up. So you're just going to be in hellfire. A lot of people would be like, well, that's not fair, even though it is true that God already knows. But the way it is now, we're living this life. God already knows what you're going to do. But for us, it's interesting in the Quran, all the conversations and discussions of people in heaven and hell, nobody says, they're like, why are you here? What's going on? Oh my God, God, can I go back? Nobody says, God, this is not fair. Nobody in the Quran says, God, this is not fair, right? None of the ayahs say, someone in hellfire says, God, this is not fair. Although, even if something is fair, you could still say it's not fair. People do that all the time. But no one says it's not fair. They say, oh, I didn't used to pray. Oh, the person was hungry. I never used to feed the hungry. And like, I didn't listen to the prophets. I was so stupid. I never used to listen. God, like, yo, but he told me, God, he told me so. Punish him more than me. God's like, oh, don't worry, I'll punish both of you. Like, there's no conversation that says God's like, it's unfair. Because we've already seen, because when God says, if you go back, you're going to do the same thing. We can't be like, no, I wouldn't. It's like, yo, he knew you were going to do it the whole time. Like, makes sense? No? God knew what was going to happen. It happened. Once you live and you lived your whole life, and God forbid, God protect all of us. We hope that we all end up in heaven. Heaven is big enough for all of us. We end up in heaven, but if God forbid someone ends up in hellfire and so on, they can't say, God, it was unfair. They know what they did and they know how they earned it. On the day, it's a kind of a secondary point, but I think it's also important. There's two types of people on the day of judgment. Muslims believe in the day of judgment, like the end of times, we're dead, everyone comes back, you're standing in front of God. Imagine a courtroom, and God is the judge. You're held individually accountable for every one of your words, deeds, and actions. Doesn't matter who your dad is. Doesn't matter if you landed on Plymouth Rock or Plymouth Rock landed on you. If you're from 400 years ago, Boston, Mayflower, etc., it don't matter. If you're rich, white, land-owning male, it don't matter. And if you're a poor, broke college student, it don't matter. It's about your words, your deeds, your actions in front of God, right? On that day, lost my train of thought. Yeah, heaven and hell. Yeah, there's two things are gonna happen. Either you're gonna get mercy or you're gonna get justice. It's fair. If you end up in heaven, it's because of God's mercy. It's not like no one's gonna do so much good. They go to God and be like I demand. Where are the keys? I took care of the. God will be like, well, I give you your eyes, your ears, your mouth, your nose, and stuff. What did you do? You helped a few people. But God's merciful towards us. And inshallah, hopefully billions of people end up in heaven. Say Ameen, guys. Say Amen. Okay, there'll be people that go to hellfire. It's only because they earned it. They earned it. They spent their whole life doing everything they can to get there. And even then, there's people that will commit sins. Where Muslims believe in, there's non-Muslims in the audience, Muslims believe in sins. We believe in good deeds, bad deeds. Even if you do things that are sinful, drinking is sinful, smoking is sinful. I know. Is it legal in Boston to smoke weed or no? I travel around the U.S. I should check everywhere I go. I should check if it's legal or not as an experiment. Decriminalized in Boston, but illegal in Massachusetts. That's like Austin. That's like, did I get it right? Yeah. Decriminalized in Boston, but it's legal in. Actually, someone told me yesterday Boston is the the addiction capital of America or something. Anyways, so whatever it is, I'm not judging, but I'm saying these are things considered sins in our religion, right? But here's an interesting point. It's another tangent to a tangent. I apologize, but there's lists of rules. Islam is known around the world, and a lot of memes and a lot of online culture. People are starting to realize this more that like Muslims have these rules. It's haram. Haram became like a meme, right? Cool. But there's no rule that says, although you meet Muslims and sometimes you feel this way, but there's no rule that says unless you're following all the rules, you're going to hell. I'm gonna repeat that. Our religion has rules, and as Muslims, sometimes we act like there are no rules, or we present Islam like there's no rules because we're shy. You shouldn't. There are rules because God cares about us. He loves us. There's rules for a reason. They're good for you. But there's no rule that says you have to follow all the rules, or else you're going to hell. You're doomed. You're done. Cancel culture. There's no like, oh, you did that one sin, or X, you got to give up. What do you want me to do? Jump off a bridge? Like, cancel culture is ridiculous. Like, you give people chances. Like, everyone's still living. As long as you're alive, God hasn't canceled you. How can you cancel yourself or anyone else, or allow someone to cancel you? You never give up. I don't know what's so funny. What's so funny? It's cool. Cancel culture was you guys exploded when I said cancel culture. I don't know. But cancel culture is not Islamic. Okay. There are sins and there's rules and there's punishments, but the idea that you're canceled in the sense not as in there's a punishment for your actions, or that we have to check bad behavior in society, or a guy who's doing things that he shouldn't be doing. Not that. Cancel culture is in like you've done something that you're beyond redemption, beyond forgiveness. It's over. It's done for you. Islamically, we have no concept of that. Right? Until you're dead. When you're dead, you're dead. But as long as you're alive, God hasn't given up on you. And I went on a number of tangents, but there are rules there for a reason. On the legitimate, yeah, even if you did break a lot of these rules, you committed a lot of sins, and you spent your whole life committing sins, Allah can still forgive you, and it's easy for Him. So a lot of people are going to get mercy on that day and forgiveness. But there'll be those God will put in hellfire. It's justice. They earned it, and God can still forgive. So you really have to earn it. Does that make sense? Heaven is easier. Oh, interesting. I wonder what Muslims think in the audience. It's an experiment I've done around the different schools and universities. Who thinks it's Islamically? I kind of already hinted the answer. Who thinks it's easier to go to heaven than hell? Islamically. Well, I should say the other. Who thinks it's easier to go to hell? Most Muslims, everywhere I've been, Muslims think it's more easier to go to hell. Well, not because last couple minutes I've kind of debunked it. Islamically, it's easier to go to heaven. Because tell me a sin you can commit that guarantees you hell. There is no. Tell me if you do something like today. If I did, what can I do right now? And it's like, oh, everyone will be looking at you like, oh, don't talk like it's over. Like these guys going to hell. There's no such thing. You can go to prison. You can get. I'm not saying that there isn't no punishment. Yeah, shirk. But what if you're still alive? The majority of the companions committed shirk. Yeah, and you die upon that knowingly. Yeah, then yeah. So hell. That's why I say hell exists. But there's nothing you can do that guarantees heaven. So yeah. So heaven is easier. Tell me something you have to do to go to heaven. Like believe that there's one God, one creator of the universe, sent these different prophets so that we can live a good life. Like, it's easy. The ceiling is there's levels in heaven. And I know some of you Muslims are kind of like upset with some of the things I'm saying. It sounds like I'm too what is it? It's like too liberal. It's like sounds like a progressive interpretation of the faith. I don't use those terms for myself. I'll not call myself a liberal or a progressive or anything. I do believe that this is Orthodox Islam. That it's easier to go to heaven than to hell. But because of a number of factors, including colonization, the last 200 years, we have this like never good enough, right? There's an authority and a power above you. We're colonized, right, or enslaved. Some of our ancestors were enslaved. A lot of our parents were colonized. So we have this idea of like you're never good enough because no matter what you did, they'll tell you you're not good enough. But they're your enemies. They don't like you. They don't care about you. So we've absorbed that into our religion. You're never good enough. Allah is way easier to please than a lot of our parents. With all due love and respect to our parents, and a lot more easier to please than a lot of our professors, our bosses, our employers. A lot of the governments, a lot of people on the world live under today are very oppressive. Doesn't mean God is oppressive, but you internalize that. Does that make sense? What else? Comments, questions, concerns? Was that good? What you thinking about, Hamza? What's on your mind? Share with us. Tell us. Hit me with your best shot. Give me a tough question. Give me like a tough one. Y'all have something. You're just shy. Ask it. Come on, it's gonna be interesting. It's okay. Or you might not like my answer, which is okay too. Or I don't know the answer. I don't always know the answer. If I don't know, I'll say I don't know. I'll say IDK. Ask. I know you guys have a question.
No, I'm just saying that like this kind of just solidified whatever I believe.
Are you Muslim?
Yeah.
You're Muslim? But you feel stronger about the faith?
Yeah.
Nice. That means everything to me. I appreciate you. If you don't mind, are you Muslim too? Sister, at the front. You're Muslim too? You're Muslim too? So you're good. Are you Muslim as well? It's awesome. Go ahead.
What is the best way to deal with
Islamophobes? Yeah. Boston has a lot of Islamophobes or what? And I was 7 months I've been in Omaha. I never had any. It was always like it was very like smooth. Do you guys sometimes have a hard time in Boston or at Brandeis? Really, Brandeis? I thought Brandeis was a very. I guess okay. I'll be honest. I don't know Brandeis that well. I should read it like read on Wikipedia. Been here twice. I thought Brandeis. Hey, my mistake. Brandeis is 60% Jewish community, right? 60% of the students are Jewish, right? 30. Okay, my bad. Thank you for correcting me. 30%. You guys know the history, right? It was like they couldn't get into Harvard. They built. Not they couldn't get. Sorry, they weren't allowed to get into Harvard because they're Jewish. So they built Brandeis. Interesting fact is the masjid I live in. The masjid I work at right now in Omaha. It was a country club. It was a Jewish country club that a mosque, church, and Jewish temple all built their lands on. And they built that Jewish country club because they get into the white Omaha, like they couldn't get into the golf course. Thought that was an interesting parallel. Someone had a question or? Easiest way to do? Oh, I didn't answer. The things I need to know more about Boston because it's different. Because I'm from Texas. We definitely two of the masjids that I've been very, very involved in. I've been in mosques my whole life. I've been involved in the community my whole life. I've been volunteering my whole life. Two of the mosque I literally was born and raised in. Pretty much born and raised in. Like as a kid in Texas A&M University. I don't know if you guys heard of Texas A&M. Biggest university in America. It's a small college town. I grew up there. There's one masjid. So my dad was there. Mom was there. Like I grew up there. That during Trump's presidency, it's not a coincidence. There was gun shooting. There's a gun shooting and there's bullet holes in the masjid. 3 a.m. during Ramadan, no one was there. Alhamdulillah, but you go for Fajr, you see bullet holes in the window and stuff. It has an effect on you. And then a masjid that I was the youth director in, working there full time, part time, for a number of years during COVID, outside of Houston, which is where I lived. It's Katy, Texas, West. Big masjid. Also had gun shootings during Trump's presidency. So two masjids I was very involved in. Islamophobia is real. But I don't know enough about Boston or about Brandeis to really answer that. Because in Texas, it's so open, like you just kind of like do your own thing. That was rare for a masjid to. Generally, Muslims live like there's hundreds of thousands of Muslims. We kind of do our own thing. And like you can just, and there's 100 masjids, so you can kind of live within the Muslims. You can live in a city but kind of just be surrounded by Muslims. You can if you want to, in Houston, Dallas, Boston. Help me, give me more. I need more context. I want to answer the question, but I need more context. What does Islamophobia in Boston look like? Someone comes up and yells at you. Someone grabs your hijab. Someone says, "Go back to where you came." Well, what does Islamophobia in Boston look like? Give me some context so I can tell you that. I don't know how to respond unless I know how it looks like.
It's very like in the background. It's like not in your face.
Not in your face, okay.
Or like it's not. I don't know. It's just not. It's hard to see. It's hard to know.
But it's real and it bothers you.
Yeah. Like I don't know. Like it's easy to ignore. It's like microaggressions type thing. Like as opposed to like.
I understand.
It's the type of racism where they like just don't sit next to you in class and like stare at you and like just act weirdo.
Can I assume this is like rich white conservative? They've been their parents have been here for hundreds of years, yeah. They own land outside of Boston.
It's I feel like it's not in Boston. Like my experience, it's not in Boston. It's more like here.
Brandeis. Brandeis has a problem, huh? Interesting. But Brandeis is private, right? Not public. Private school, right? So there's some students here that are like wealthy, from top families. They've been here for hundreds of years. Yeah. That's like kind of like Rice University in Houston, and kind of like Creighton University in Omaha. I'm trying to come up with a profound answer, but I don't know if I have anything right now. So, yeah. When I come, I know we're talking about. If I come back, when I come back, inshallah, I'll talk about the Prophet ﷺ. God, the Quran, the Messenger. We're talking about the Messenger. These are the three primary beliefs. This is gonna be good, inshallah. Islamophobia. How about this? What if I give you an answer that you wouldn't have expected at all? Like it seems completely unrelated, but this is what I want to say. We're doing okay as Muslims in America in many ways. We're 1%. We're 10%. I was talking about yesterday to the medical students, Harvard, Tufts, UMass, Boston University, medical and dental students. And I was talking about how, and a lot of them didn't know this, which was cool. But I'm like, you guys know that Muslims are 1% of America, but we're 10% of the doctors, which is a cool stat. People love and respect their doctors. Alhamdulillah. You work hard, you're reliable, anyways, dependable. We're doing a lot of good, but also there's plenty of room for improvement. We're not the top of the society, right? We're not the decision makers, etc., policy makers. But let's say you're studying computer science here or pre-med. It's probably a lot of you. Engineering, pre-med, computer science. Is that the majority? But everywhere I go, that's mostly the majority. How about you don't tell your kids, I'm speaking to the Muslims in the audience, everyone. How about you don't tell your kids, next few years when you have kids, inshallah, how about you don't tell your kids that the only paths in life are engineering and medicine? How about you allow your son or daughter, who might be a little bit crazy, they want to sell lemonade in middle school and sell stuff in school even when it's not allowed in their school, encourage them to be entrepreneurs. So that maybe from 15 to 35, even if they don't have a degree, well, you can do both. But let's say they don't have a college degree. You guys have a degree from Harvard and MIT and Stanford and Brandeis and Berkeley and all that. Right, I speak at universities, and inshallah, Muslims are top universities, doing top of their class, doing great. What if you don't tell your kids that the biggest and most important thing in life is to get a degree from the top universities, and rather you allow them to be a little more creative and make more mistakes, and 1 out of 100 of them comes out to be Elon Musk of their time, or a Zuckerberg of their time, or a Jeff Bezos of their time? What if, rather than complaining about, I love and respect all of you, no hate, what if instead of, or in addition to, complaining about Islamophobia because it's not going anywhere, it's been there throughout human history, it's not going to go away. Although it's a real thing. I've studied it. I've worked with CARE. I don't know if you guys know CARE. I've volunteered with the CARE. They literally have reports every year on Islamophobia. It's a real thing. I've spoken about it. What if the solution is that we need more money in our hands? We need good money in good hands. Because an engineer or doctor, computer scientist might make 100K. That's beautiful. Top of the world. If you're making 100K in America, you're like what, top 80, 90% of the world. Probably more. You're probably in the top 5% of the world. But what if some of our kids end up making millions because they create an app, but you allow them to do that? Because it's a different way of thinking, it's a different way of moving, it's a different lifestyle. They might not get the college degree, they might drop out. How are you going to feel about it? We all know that our parents would not have accepted us to drop out of college. In fact, they barely accepted the fact that we got B's sometimes, right? What if you allow your kids to explore a little bit, try some things, fail in some business endeavors? Because maybe 1 out of a number of them will come out to be a successful business person, a land-owning person, and then maybe them, and a few of them, will produce politicians, produce policymakers. And then rather than complaining about Islamophobia, we create the laws. Just maybe. Easier said than done, but that's the goal, inshallah. We need more counselors and therapists and mental health experts, more imams, And imam is not just someone who leads prayers, well, nothing wrong with that, but someone who leads the society, leads the city, makes an impact. And we need more entrepreneurs and business people. You can complain forever that we don't have as much money as other people. Like, we gotta make money. Our morals and ethics don't prevent us from making a lot of money. The Elon Musks, Jeff Bezos, and Mark Zuckerbergs of Arabia were the Muslim leaders. Were Uthman ibn Affan and Abdulrahman ibn Auf and a number of companions. They're super strict about their morals and ethics. It didn't prevent them from making money. I know I'm trying my best not to fall into that narrative of America's the land of opportunity. If you come here and you work hard, you'll make. Because it's not the case for everybody. And there's people who've been here. Muslims have been here for 400 plus years, and for hundreds and hundreds of years, African Americans have been here, and that wasn't their story. So we have to be sensitive to that, and that's a reality. But at the same time, you do have opportunities. We might not have it in Syria and Pakistan, Egypt and Palestine. We do our best, inshallah. Jazakumullah khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.